What's going on, YouTube? I'm back, your movie guru, with another review. This time it's The Girl in the Spider's Web. Uh, for those of you who don't know, it is a sequel to 2011 movie The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is a series involving the main heroine, Lisbeth Salander. I've never read the books, but it's part of the Millennium book series. It has a bit of a cult following. Uh, a lot of people like it. Uh, what a lot of American viewers don't know or haven't seen is that there were actually three movies produced in Europe: The Girl with the Dragon's Tattoo, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and The Girl Who Played with Fire. These were also three movies made in Europe about Elizabeth Salander. And then The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was made in 2011. It was directed by David Fincher, and that was the American one. Uh, that one starred Rooney Mara. Uh, I saw it when it first came out, and I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the European ones too, and I very much enjoyed the American adaptation. Uh, and it was very critically acclaimed as well. But it kind of underperformed at the box office. And so for this one, instead of rebooting the whole thing, they decided to make a sequel, but they changed out the entire cast, uh, which I wasn't the happiest with. Like I said, I really liked Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in 2011. It was starred Rooney Mara and then Daniel Craig as the journalist. This time they chose to go with the lead, Claire Foy. And I will say that I thought she did a great job. She was a strong female lead, great actress, and I think she does a fine job in the movie. Uh, that said, ready to get right into the review. I just want to give a little background. Uh, a few things that I didn't like about the movie. First off, I'll say that it has a 47% score on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Audiences don't have a score yet because it just came out today. Uh, One of the things I would say that I didn't like about this movie, and I've seen this and a lot of other films as well, of this type, is I feel like the stakes are too high. When the stakes, whenever you're seeing these type of movies, like whether it's a James Bond movie or, a superhero movie or, G.I. Joe, whenever the bad guy, his plan results in world domination. Well, then uh, eventually that this can't hold up because uh, those stakes are untenable. It's not something that can be allowed to happen in a movie. So I always like it when the stakes in a film are more realistic because then it does keep the audience guessing as to is the villain going to win. Uh, you don't know what could happen. If he kidnaps let's say the hero's girlfriend or the hero's boyfriend, uh, it's a real possibility. Could they kill her? Like for instance in the Dark Knight, the Joker does end up killing Batman's love interest, Rachel Dawes, in the film. Uh, that's something realistic that could happen. If the stake was the Joker has a nuke and he's going to blow up all of Gotham, you obviously know that's not going to happen. That's not something they can allow to happen. But could he kill two boats full of people? That's something that could happen. That's in the realm of possibility, and so it really does effectively create tension in a film. And I felt the stakes in this one were a little bit too high to the point where you knew that it couldn't happen, and then also uh, it helped drive down the believability of the movie. That I felt that if the stakes were this high, there would be a lot more players in it. As far as governments involved in what happened. So that I had a bit of a problem with, and then like I said before, I thought Claire Foy did a great job as Elizabeth Salander. I liked the pacing of the movie. I thought it was very dark and brooding, which is in tone with her films. And I thought they had a good pacing between action scenes and then slow scenes, and the movie continued on at a pretty good beat. But I've always said, especially in these types of films, uh, something similar that I would compare the her type of movies to are the James Bond films or the Jason Bourne films. Uh, and in these films, uh, what helps these films along, or what helps these films surpass just your standard, average thriller, uh, is an iconic villain. What makes helps to make a great hero is when you got a great iconic villain. And I don't know who said it, but there's a saying that the best villains, are those who have a point. They're not 100% evil, or evil just for the sake of being evil, or somebody that we completely can't relate to. They are people, that are just a little bit flawed, but they're accomplishing something that we can understand, their motivations and the reasons why they're doing the things they're doing. They're are classic examples of this. Some of the iconic Bond villains, like Goldfinger, for instance, and then some of the great iconic villains that I can think of recently that embodied this is Joker in the Dark Knight, and then even more recently Thanos in the Avengers series. And the fact that these villains were so iconic is what helped uh, elevate these movies to a higher status than they otherwise would have been. And I say that to say you really didn't get that in this film. Uh, Not giving anything away, but the villain is her sister. You can see that in the trailers. But she was very cold, very calculating. That was impressive to see, but you really couldn't relate to her. And just the emotion wasn't there. It seemed like your standard, I was wronged, and therefore I'm evil, and I'm going to do these evil things just to do these evil things. And so that was, pretty much a bit of a letdown for me. I will say, if you're a big fan of the books, you're a big fan of the series, and the heroine, uh, I think it's a serviceable movie. You're not going to come out of the year saying, I just completely wasted my time. Uh, but I will say it. I don't think it was great. I don't think it nearly lives up to the standard that the first one set in 2011. Uh, my thoughts on this, and that's just not saying as a critic, as an average moviegoer, if I went, I would kind of feel like, okay, that was all right. It was okay movie. It did knock my socks off. It wasn't great. It's not something really that I'm going to remember. To me, it was kind of pretty forgettable. For every reason, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. Like I said, I liked it. Uh, Great acting job by Claire Foy once again, but overall, it's not something that I would rush to see. Unless I was a big fan of the books or I really loved that character. But that's all I have to say for that one. Like I said, I was kind of disappointed about it because I was such a big fan, of the first of the one in 2011 and then the three European films. But it is what it is. I'm hoping uh, that it does well enough that there will be a sequel, and I'm hoping that maybe they'll take it in another direction, uh, similar to like the Bond films. Some are great, some not so much, but I'm glad that they do make enough money. That they will continue to make the Bond films so that eventually you do get some of the ones that are really great. And I think with this series, I think if they continue on, you will get uh, some that are really good. Some movies that are, that surpass your expectations. But that's where we are now. If you like my reviews, once again, just hit the like button and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a good weekend, guys.